I've made at least a few bird characters in the past, and they sucked. Because, where do you even begin? The wing hands, the mouth, the goofy leg joints, it just doesn't make sense. So in this video, I'm going to crack the code and break down how to draw anthro birds as comprehensive characters. I will be covering key anatomy points, stylization techniques, and several examples. To start, bird anthros exist on a spectrum from bird to human. They can range from a bird with only human-like facial expressions, a human with only some wings and feathers, or somewhere in between. You should first decide whether you want a more bird-like human, which is a human with some bird features, or more of a human-like bird, which is a bird with some human features, or somewhere in between. This choice will determine how you draw the anatomical features of your bird character. Next, let's compare the bird and the human skeleton. Notice how key body parts match. In the arms, we have the elbow and wrist joints. In the legs, we have the knee and ankle joints. We have the rib cage, the neck, the head, and the hips. By rearranging the bird skeleton to match the arrangement of the human skeleton, this creates a solid template for a basic anthro bird. We can also construct new hybrid skeletons by mixing these corresponding body parts. If you want a bird-like human, start with a human and birdify the head, arms, legs, and add a tail. If you want a human-like bird, start with a bird and humanize the head, wings, and legs. These base skeletons show what the overall body shape of bird characters can look like. Let's next examine some specific body parts in more detail. I think anthro birds are hard to draw for 3 reasons: the beak, the wings, and the feet. So let's study them. First, let's break down the head. Bird heads in general can be divided into several distinct sections. There's the head topper, the mask, the cheeks, the sides of the face, the part of the face that transitions into the neck, the chin, the eye rims, the iris, the pupil, and the beak. For beaks, their shapes in particular vary a lot for different birds. However, they can almost always be broken into these 4 parts: the beak base, the upper beak, the lower beak, and the beak connector. Each of these pieces comes together to shape the face of the bird. Recreate these features when drawing your character's face. Let's try out an example. Keep in mind that bird faces vary a lot by species, so it's helpful to use references here. For this example, I will be referencing the acorn woodpecker. So first, I outline the overall head shape, and then I start sketching in those key sections of the face, which are broken down here. I then adjusted the shape of the face so that the cheek kind of puffs out a bit more, and then redrew the beak a bit bigger for better proportions. As I was drawing, I kept looking at the bird face diagrams here on the left to make sure I was including all the key parts in my drawing. Including all these key parts, make sure your bird's face looks natural and keeps it from looking flat, like a cardboard cutout. Alright, we're gonna do another example, but this time it'll be a bird face from front view. And to do that, we're going to need to go over the absolute terror that is bird beaks from front view. Drawing bird faces from front view is scary because 90% of the time it turns out looking really goofy, and this is usually because of the beak. Do not panic. This is normal. Birds in real life look naturally goofy from front view. So let's do a quick observational study. Here I have a selection of heads from various bird species. Using different colors, we can break down the basic shapes that make up an open bird beak from front view. We have the pointed upper tip in yellow that juts out of the roof of the mouth, and the circular diamond silhouette of the open mouth. Sometimes there is an extra visible beak connector section which you can see in blue. I will reference this diagram in our following example featuring a swallow-tailed kite. Once again, we start with a sketch of the base head shape. As I draw the beak, notice how I make that upper tip pretty long and pointy. to match the species I'm referencing. The strategy here is to form the beak using those basic shapes, follow those reference diagrams, and keep adjusting it until it looks serviceable. It can be hard and frustrating, but with practice, your beaks will look more and more natural. Also notice how many adjustments I made in my drawing process. Don't feel bad about erasing and redoing things as you draw, because sometimes some things just don't work out, and it's okay to go back and change what you don't like. Next up, let's learn about wings. Based on the bone structure, bird wings are kinda like human arms. Personally, I like to picture the top ridge of the wings as the arms of the bird. The basic structure of the wing can be broken down into a couple sections. There is the shoulder, the connector, the arm, layers 1, 2, and 3, the hand base, the short wing tips, and the long wing tips. There are also different types of wings. One type is small, good for hovering, and is found on species like hummingbirds. Another is small, rounder shaped, good for quick flapping, and is found on birds like sparrows. Another is sharper, good for high-speed flying, and is found on species like falcons. Another is large and broad, good for soaring, and is found on birds like eagles. And the last is long, good for long-distance cruising, and is often found on seabirds. When applied to characters, wings can be designed in various ways, ranging on a spectrum of bird to human, or more specifically, wing to arm. This can be anywhere from no hands 100% wing, wings that double as hands, having half the arms sprout out separately from the wings, or separating the arms completely and having the wings sprout out of the character's back instead. Let's try it out. This character is a seagull, so I drew the wings long for that seabird wing type. Also, I wanted the style of wing where half the arm separates, so I drew a humanoid arm starting at the elbow. When drawing the wing, I started with a very light sketch of the overall shape, then I referenced the diagram to help me fill in the details, all the different sections and feather layers in the wings. For a believable wing, it is crucial that you make the feathers all different sizes. In general, the feathers at the wingtips will be the largest, and the feathers along the arm section of the wing will be the smallest. Alright, finally let's learn how to draw bird feet. Bird feet vary a lot by different species, so it's important that you use references for whatever bird you choose to draw. However, most bird feet are variations of this basic structure. 3 front toes with the tallest in the middle, a short back toe, and the base of the ankle in the middle. Variations of this could be adding webbing, or having 2 toes in the front and 2 in the back. Overall, the shape of the foot is commonly something like this. By breaking it down into basic shapes, we can view it as a bunch of cylinders attached to circles. When you outline it, notice how the parts around the circles bump out. Bird feet aren't just straight sticks. These bumps are key to making your bird feet look more realistic. Also notice how the knees bend backward and the talons are small crescents that sprout from the center of each toe. Alright, now that we have a better understanding of bird anatomy, let's try some full body examples. Drawing bird characters can be broken down into 4 key steps. Number 1, choose species. What's your character's species? Are they a made-up species? Collect references of the species you choose. Number 2, choose spectrum. On a scale from bird to human, where does your character fall? Number 3, choose style. Bird characters can be drawn in all different sorts of styles. Style will impact the proportions and level of detail in your drawing. And number 4, remember anatomy as you draw. Make sure to include those sections of the head, beak, wings, and feet that we learned. Referencing diagrams can help. Even more simplified, cartoony characters should be based on these anatomical structures. Alright, so for our first example, I chose the owl. I wanted it to be a slightly human-like bird, and I wanted to make it kind of fantasy/semi-realistic with wispy line work. I started off the drawing with a really quick gesture sketch to figure out the pose and overall shape of the character, and then I started filling out those anatomical structures based on the diagrams and references I collected. A lot of drawing bird characters is just observing and drawing, observing and drawing. It can be kinda tedious, but keep plowing through it. Good-looking bird characters are hard to draw just from imagination, and most of the time, there's just no cure-all strategy to make it easier, other than breaking it down into simpler shapes. Don't feel discouraged if your drawing isn't looking how you wanted it to at first. I will repeat, birds are hard, but with practice, they will get a little easier to draw each time. Let's try another example. This time I chose the peregrine falcon. I wanted him to be slightly more human than bird, and I also wanted a more bold, cartoony style with semi-chibi proportions. Once again, I started with a quick sketch for the overall pose. I experimented with the head angle tilted up to demonstrate what the beak could look like from slightly below. As you can see, this design is a lot simpler than the one before, and this is where you can take a lot of liberties with feather patterns. Take for example the bold crescent shapes I added to the legs. It's not realistic, but it works for this cartoony style. Let's do one final example, and for this one I'm adding one final key step to the 4-step method. Step number 5, make it a character. This can be clothes, facial expression, pose, character shape theory. Use these elements to show who your character is. It's like how Falco looks like a rogue space fighter, and Owl looks like an annoying school teacher, which, isn't that far from the truth. So for this example, I chose the Stellar's Jay. I'm leaning towards human, but still pretty bird-like. I'm going for an anime-like style, and I'm making him a rugged sharpshooter. Before I started, I actually drew some really quick concept sketches until I found a pose and look I was satisfied with. It's really messy and unclear, but you can pick out what I was going for. A pose from back view with the wings, a hat with a feather, a trench coat, leg warmer bandage things, and double revolvers. I used the concept sketch as the underdrawing and dove right into the final design. This one I actually struggled quite a lot with the angle of the wing, but we keep plowing through. I want to take this time to say thank you all so much for the overwhelming support from all of you. Thank you for commenting, subscribing, and watching my first video ever on YouTube. I was shocked by the positive response, and I'm so excited that I can use what I've learned about drawing to help other people and to support your creative goals. Life happens, and this video took way longer than I expected, but thank you for your patience. I can't wait to continue working on this channel and teaching you all more about art. Before making this video, I didn't really know how to draw birds until this video basically forced me to learn. So I can say now from personal experience that you should be proud of yourself for taking that brave step of sitting down and trying to learn this skill. Drawing bird characters can be really daunting because man, birds look so weird, but I really hope that now you have a better understanding of where to begin. And there we go. I wish you the best of luck on drawing your own bird characters. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to support my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again.